G'day everybody and welcome to another episode of Automotive Carnage. Today's episode we're going to carry on with our 1974 Mark 1 Escort. Now in the first episode of this one you saw us pull it out of the bush and rescue it from its dirt grave. The second episode you saw us walk around this entire vehicle and highlight all its good parts and all its bad parts, of which there's not that many for a vehicle that's been sitting in the bush for at least 20 odd years. Now today what are we going to do? Well, we're going to get this thing into a rolling state. I listed this car up for sale on eBay at $1 reserve and we reached a massive sum of $800. So a little bit disappointed in that, but that's what the market says and that's what the market gets. So we have some parts to put on the front hubs and on the rear axle to get this thing into a roller. So let's show you that now. So what's the first thing you need to get a car into a rolling chassis state? Well, that is wheels and tires, and here we have two different sets. First one is a pile of 12-inch rims and tires that came with the vehicle when we found it, and like I say, they've been sitting in the bush for a while, so they have definitely seen better days. Now trying to find 12-inch tires now is getting a little bit harder, so we've got those. What I did manage to source was some 13-inch rims. These were donated by an awesome bloke from the West Australian Ford Escort group, and he actually dropped them off to me here in my town, so thank you very much for that. But as you can see, we only have 3 of them. 2 of them we had to put brand new tires on, so we'll put those on the front of the car so that we can actually turn a lot easier, and we're going to have to use the best of those 2, the 12 inches, to go on the rear axle along with this thing, which is a little board, but it holds air. And that is all we need. Now we've got wheels and tires, you need something to bolt them to. And as you can see on this front corner, well, that is sort of missing. Sort of missing because here it is. This was found on the vehicle, I think it was, or near the vehicle when we picked it up. And I'm very glad we found it. So that is the missing hub that we need with wheel studs. We only have 1 bearing to go in it, so that's going to be interesting. But we have some wheel nuts, a couple extra wheel studs, bearing caps, and the actual nuts to hold the hub in place. So with that little assortment, we can make this work. We're still missing a few studs, but we have enough wheel studs to put at least 2 on each corner. And that's all we need. We just need to get this car rolling to move it on to its new owner. So we are going to start with this, because I have a theory that if you start with the hardest job, it can only get easier. So we're going to start with that one, rebuild it as best we can. As you can see, it's kind of falling off the trailer where it is. I'm actually quite amazed it made it the bumpy journey 100 kilometers back into town on the trailer, but that's okay. So that one needs to be rebuilt. This one we need to stick some a couple of wheel studs in there, so we'll have to jack it up, pull that off, do what we need to do in there, come around on this side. That one, well, that's good to go. We just need to jack it up and it's good. And then squeeze down here between the trees. That one is going to need the wheel nut put on there, sorry, the hub nut, and it's going to need a couple of studs put in there as well. But all in all, not too bad. So well, this is it. We're going to start around this side with the hardest one and we shall go from there. So let's figure out some dodgy way of jacking this up where it doesn't interfere with our work. Yeah, I might die. We'll see how this goes. Anyway, let's carry on. There we are, how's that look? It's back on its wheel, and an inflated wheel, for the first time in gosh knows how many years. So that looks really, really cool. Now, how we achieved that was a few different kinds of jacks, jacking at various points under the car. I told you I might die doing this. But anyway, while we had this front end jacked up, I thought I'd go ahead and start fixing the hub on this side. Now, I didn't have a outer wheel bearing the correct size, but VN Commodore, also a LC Tirana wheel bearing, well, it goes in and it holds. It's definitely not the ideal size, but again, we are not here to restore the vehicle, we are here to get it rolling. So that's good to go. I've installed 2 wheel studs so that we can actually get a wheel on. Now, as you can see, unfortunately, it's a bit too close to the trailer and I can't squeeze the tire and wheel in there. It's a skinny tire, definitely. I mean, it's just a little bit bigger than my hand, but unfortunately, it's not small enough to fit down in that gap. So we are going to figure out some way of doing a shuffle that way, but for now I'm going to put the dust cap on there. We'll let that jack down and then we'll start working on the rear axle. So on the rear axle, starting here, we have to, I assume, undo this screw, knock this cover off so that we're able to put some wheel studs in. Then we'll jack this up somehow, probably dodgy like we did the front. Might die again, but hopefully not, fingers crossed. And then we'll be able to put our wheel on here, and then the other side, as you saw, already had its wheel studs, so that's just a matter of jacking it up and we're good to go. So let's do both of those right now. There we go, our 12-inch tyre and rim are now on. Oh, my hat's still under there, but not leave that in there. Yeah, she's a bit flat, but I do have an old school bush mechanic idea on how we can get that somewhat inflated and stay inflated for its journey to its new home. Now, here is how not to jack up your car 101. Yep, I'm just gonna let that sink in there. Yeah. Do I recommend you do this to your car? Hell no. But when you're in the bush, you make do with what you have. But that has allowed us to get our third wheel on. So that is going to look awesome once it's dropped down. And then obviously we've just got one more left at the back here. We haven't got to that yet. But that is going to be the easiest to do. Now, now you may be wondering, how did he get that wheel on? I mean, look at the gap that we have here now. Well, what we did, I didn't film this for obvious reasons, is I jacked that up, except I jacked it up over here and then got it so that tire was off the surface and then just pushed the car. Yeah, just kind of jack it up and pushed it. Very dodgy, but it works. So anyway, let's lower this down now. Those wheel nuts are all done tight. Come on. This is very hard to do one-handed. Okay, so here we go. Got an assistant on camera. 2 hands on the jack. There we go. That got it all the way down. Fantastic. Oh, sorry, dog. We now have our car on 3 wheels. How's that look? It's looking a bit more like an actual vehicle now, which is great, not just a random shell sitting in the dirt. We better tighten everything there up once more. Get that last wheel on. And let's just do that now. This is awesome, guys. It's actually going to be on its wheels. Now, yeah, let's sort the wheels out and then I'll talk you through what we have to do next. So that is all well and good. The Escort is now rolling effectively, but we still have a major problem that actually stops it from moving as such, and that is this car is stuck in park. So obviously that's going to stop our rear axle from rotating and doing what it needs to do. So we have to get in or under or some way of freeing up the gear selector so that we can get into neutral. If we can't do that, we'll just unbolt the dry shaft from the diff itself and then tie it up out of the way. So we can definitely get this done. So let's just do it, I suppose. Yeah, hopefully we can select it into neutral first. I think that was it. Oh, and also the whole time I've been working on this car, I've undone the straps that held the car down, but the whole time it has been attached to the winch, which has been wrapped around the rear axle and the diff, so there's no chance of it ever falling off the chassis. So yeah, here we are. Let's now work on getting that gear selector into a neutral position. Hopefully we can just get that gear shifter and whack it into neutral. Now see, the problem is we can't even squeeze those buttons. So those buttons are not moving at all. So let's get underneath the car and see if we can figure anything out under there. Oh yay, my favorite thing. Crawling in the dirt underneath a car. Good fun, good times. Yeah, the things I do for you guys. Okay. Oh, don't crush the microphone. That will be a $300 mistake. Oh, hello, what's this? Is this a kickdown cable? Man, look at that dodgy wiring. What's going on here? Oh gosh. Okay. I see, that's our cable. Right, and then that goes back. Can you see that up in there, guys? Yeah, that cable. Alright, so can I maneuver it by hand? Just here. Okay, I'm going to need to put my camera down. Hopefully you can see there. And we just take that pin out and then select it that way. So just in case you couldn't see it before, we're going to take that little pin out, drop this cable, and then just move that by hand, push it backwards and select neutral. That's going to be the easiest way. If that doesn't work, then we'll go about taking the drive shaft out. The least time I have to crawl underneath a vehicle, the better, because I don't like being on my back in the dirt. So let's do that now. Now that does look like a bit of a weird angle, but it's the best way to show you. If I rotate this wheel here, look at that. Our drive shaft is moving. I can't rotate it fully because I can't jack the car up high enough, but you get the idea. That is now free, which means this car is officially a roller. So I am really chuffed about that. That's fantastic. Taking that pin out and selecting the gears manually on the side of the box was definitely the way to go, and a lot easier than trying to take that drive shaft out. So there we go. We have the car ready to roll. So now, after getting that drive line freed up so that we're actually able to roll this vehicle, I got a bit bored as to what to do next. So we turned our attention to the engine. Now, the actual engine itself, unfortunately, is seized. I've put a breaker bar onto the actual crank to try rotate the engine, but all it does is loosen or tighten the crank bolt. So that's no good. So what we're going to do, we're going to jump in here under the valve cover and we'll see what's underneath it. Which is a couple of screws. Haven't taken this off yet. So this will be the first time that we've both had a look. Bit gutted we can't get the engine unseized. I mean, we might be able to take those plugs out and put some diesel down there and let it sit, but I'll leave that mystery for the next owner. Now, as I said, the car has sold for 800 bucks on eBay, but the guy who brought it is in Frankston in Victoria, on the wrong side of the country. He thought I was in Victoria as well. So this is going to cost him a lot, but that's his problem, not mine. That's actually not bad.
They have not changed the oil in that in years before it stopped.
No, that is black.
That is black.
But it's not sludgy.
No, it's not sludgy. That says that this motor will go. But folks, that is a real testimony to how you don't change oil.
And look down here how it's actually like gone to hard plastic almost.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Old gaskets. Seen better days. Old cork gasket too. Yeah. So yeah, that's
exciting.
That's pretty cool. So yeah, some diesel down the barrels, the cylinders. I reckon you could turn her over, no problem.
Yep.
But that's for the next person to sort out, not me. Good morning everybody and welcome to a new day. Now to be fair, this has been a couple of weeks since you last saw us playing around with the wheels and tires, and that's because this vehicle has taken a not unexpected but a different turn of events. The purchaser in Melbourne, it just became too much of a headache trying to organise transport from the outback of Western Australia all the way over to Frankston over in Melbourne. So that unfortunately we had to refund him his money and that deal is no longer done. So we kind of just waited, until another appropriate buyer came along. And sure enough, we have found one, and so much closer. He's actually just in our next major town. So today we are going for a bit of a road trip. So unfortunately, we won't be seeing any old school bush hacks on how to inflate rear tires, because we won't need to get them inflated to get them to the back of a truck anymore. We just need to get it off the trailer and into this guy's front or slash backyard. So now we've actually got it out away from the sheds. Let's have one final look at the vehicle, and we've got our 13-inch rims all the way around, which look absolutely awesome in their horribly patinaed state. But I am so grateful that we were able to get hold of those, and brand new tires on the front. Obviously we wanted to steer properly, you know, we can't, you know, it's a few luxuries. And we've still got our 12-inch on the back. Now yes, the tires are completely flat, but when we get to its new owner, all we have to do is get it off the trailer and into his backyard. So come along with us, we'll do our 380-kilometer journey like we normally do, and travel all the way down to our next town. Yeah, unfortunately this will be the last time you see this vehicle. Okay, so here we go. I'm absolutely exhausted. As you saw, we just pushed it into its resting place in line to be restored. There's also a few other Escorts around here. We might ask nicely if we can go have a look at them. But anyway, that's it for now. That is the Escort. It's found a new home, a very deserving home, that is for sure. And it's going to be very well looked after here. So I think that's it. That'll be the end of this episode and this series of the Ford Escort. Had a lot of fun rescuing it with Merv, had a lot of fun showing you guys everything we could. The golden pen, that was an absolutely amazing find. It's very hard to talk when you've been pushing a car in 38-degree weather. So we'll catch you guys on the next episode of All Knife Carnage. See you later. So we're lucky enough to be shown in the shed here, and that is a genuine RS 2000, sorry, that you're looking at. She's had a bit of a smack in the rear end, unfortunately, but the boys here will be able to knock it out pretty good. Oops, and there's a rotisserie behind me, so be careful where I walk in here. I love coming to these workshops, man. The stuff that you can find that people are working on and fixing is absolutely fantastic. And again, it's just getting these cars back on the road where they belong. Before the electrification takes over in autonomous vehicles, we have guys like Chris with the Cedric and Ian here with the Escorts who are actually taking the time to restore these vehicles and getting it back on the road, which is absolutely fantastic, to save as many as we can. So yeah, there's a sneak peek. That's actually the end of this episode, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.